Then I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, madam.
We are going to look at research methods in this particular class session. Okay.
Actually, madam, before we continue, I had a simple inquiry.
Yes, please.
Before we continue, madam.
Mm-hmm.
And last week you told us you're going to add us more time so that we can submit our edited documents and also those who are not admitted to submit their coursework. Because
Yes.
at first we had submitted and told us we have to edit in some more things. Yeah, but now there's not and when you check on Moodle, there's no place, even you can't edit the document we submitted.
Okay.
So we don't know the way forward.
Okay. I just posted on the WhatsApp group that I've extended the time. So it's now possible for you to resubmit.
Oh. Hello. Okay, let me check, madam.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, please. Hello.
Madam, I was saying just thanks.
Okay, okay. Okay, let us begin. We want to look at proposal writing. And then hopefully during the week, I had put up something on research philosophies, I think. On Moodle, let me just check just to be sure. I don't know if you have accessed this. On Moodle, there is something on research methods and philosophies. And I think these are pre-recorded lectures. Have all of you accessed these? Hello?
Okay,
Okay,
madam, let me check and I see whether the videos have been uploaded.
Posted some time back. They are on research philosophies and research methods and strategies. I posted this some time back. To next week will be our last lecture, I think, because we are given 2 weeks to teach. We can use that time to just have a discussion on these methods, as well as I will post for you another video which talks about research design. Okay. So for those who have seen them, please go ahead. Those who have not, please go ahead and view them. Today, let's look at proposal writing. We have done a concept paper. A proposal is a build-up after the concept paper, which then must be approved for you to go ahead to carry out your research. So the proposal itself makes up the first 3 chapters of your general dissertation. Your dissertation overall has got, I believe, 5 chapters. So the first chapter is what would have been included in your concept paper. The second chapter is your literature review. Your third chapter is your methodology, describing your methods, how you're going to carry out your research. Your fourth chapter is your results and analysis presentation, including your system. And the fifth includes your conclusions and recommendations. So 5 chapters in general. So today we're going to look at the research proposal. So if we go back to our discussion as we've been going, you start with identifying a problem. You write a concept paper. After the concept paper, you write a proposal. After a proposal, you write the dissertation. So the proposal is submitted to your supervisor or to the faculty, then the faculty is supposed to give you the go-ahead to continue doing your research. So let us go through that. So what exactly is a research proposal? So as I had said, a research proposal is a build-up from the concept paper. The concept paper is basically giving highlights of what you want the given research to do. The research proposal is more detailed than the concept paper. It's more detailed about your research problem and how you intend to solve it. So in this session, we want to understand these details of how you expand from a proposal to a concept paper. What is the difference between the two? Or really, what is the research proposal? One, you have more extensive look at your literature, the literature regarding your problem. Much more extensive look. So when we are looking at our research problem, when we are looking at the research problem that we are focusing on, we must first of all demonstrate that we know what this problem is. We understand the nature of the problem. And the only way for you to do that is to go and investigate what is written about this. And when I say investigate, I mean you're going back to academic literature regarding your topic. So let us say you want to develop an mHealth application for expectant mothers. Yeah, something that is supposed to support antenatal health care. One, you must have done a great deal of research on mHealth applications. You must have read quite a bit. To an mHealth applications in antenatal health care. You must also have done a great deal of research on antenatal health care and where the gap that is intended to fill, to be filled, sorry, you intend to fill or to be filled by that application. So you go back into literature and you bring it forward to your readers so that they understand from literature the challenge that specifically has motivated you to develop that mHealth application. The fact that mHealth applications are used in healthcare to fill up these gaps in healthcare that cannot be that are required. So you do quite a lot of in-depth research and you report back. It should be in terms of breadth and depth of the problem that you're trying to research itself. You also look at existing solutions because your intention as ICT researchers is to build solutions. Please take note, if you remember from all the discussions we've had in your concept paper, I kept emphasizing your research must be IT centered. Again, I want to repeat this. Not all research is about developing applications, no. But I keep bringing this back to you because as undergraduate IT and computer science students, your dissertation is expected. You're expected to design and implement an IT solution. Okay, design and implement an IT solution. So for example, if your problem area is in the field of cybersecurity in networks, then your objective should be designing a solution for those cybersecurity challenges. That should be your primary objective. Now, when you're reading literature, you read literature on existing solutions, because are there existing solutions for the problem you have identified? Let me go back to the example that I gave when we're talking about our first point here, which was mHealth. You want to design an mHealth application. Are there existing solutions? If they are, where have they fallen short that for you, you want to design this thing? Where have they fallen short? Why don't you want to use those solutions as opposed to, why don't you want to use those solutions and you want to develop a new one? What is the reasoning behind it? So essentially what you're doing is you're defending your research. Okay? You're defending your research. So this is another reason why we review literature. In your argument, why you're defending, why you're developing a solution, you need to point out the limitations of those existing solutions, that it necessitates you developing one. Then we also review literature for purposes of defending, first of all, introducing the methodology we want to use and why we want to use it. Okay? The methodology we want to use and why we want to use it. Why is this methodology the best possible methodology to help you achieve your objective? Why? So when we are doing all these things, essentially what we are saying is that we are trying to show that we are following a systematic process of inquiry. This is essentially what we are saying. Before I go any further, do we have any questions? If we don't, can I pose a question? Do we have any question or can I pose a question? Any question? No? Okay, then let me pose a question for everyone. Shall I pose a question for everyone? Let me pose a question here. We have done some concept. In your groups, you've done concept papers for identified problem areas. Let me just pose to some people that I see here. For example, Opio Stephen. Opio, could you tell us from your group presentation, where are the areas you would go out and you'd try to do literature review? Which areas would you select from your problem? Stephen or Stephen's group mates?
Yes, madam.
Yes, please. Stephen, where were your problem areas? Where was your problem identified? Which was the area you identified?
For us, the area we identified was the e-learning integration at the, let me say, institution.
Mm-hmm. It was e-learning integration and what, sorry?
We were trying. Our mostly that.
Sorry, Stephen, your network is really poor. Do we have another group mate of Stephen who can help us and tell us what your problem area was? Please let us
Madam,
participate.
our
The reason why
problem.
sorry, Stephen, is there another member, because your network is quite poor, Stephen? Is there another person who is in Stephen's group who can participate? The reason why I'm trying to get us to participate in this and for you to understand, it's not enough to just attend the lecture and I see your name, but you understand what it is we're trying to do. Why? You're all going to write dissertations, and it's going to be a very frustrating process when your supervisor keeps telling you, go back and redo this. So I would like for us to understand.
Let Camilas help me or Kalinzi.
Yes, Kalinzi, could you please tell us what your problem area was?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Dennis.
Hello. I hope I'm audible. Let me start. As I have just joined, but let me start from here. Our problem, the research topic was the failure of integrating e-learning in higher institutions of learning in Uganda. And our problem statement is in Uganda, some institutions of higher learning, pardon.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just.
Or some institutions of higher learning are what, sorry?
Yes.
Madam,
During the COVID-19 pandemic, all the students in Uganda stopped studying for a period of at least 6 months. Yes. Pardon?
So sorry, you're saying this people are asked to stop studying for a period of 6 months. So what exactly is your solution then? What are you proposing as a solution?
The solution was to bring up, our research was focusing on those solutions that are going to suggest more efficient means of e-learning, the better modes of e-learning to society that are cheaper the e-learning platforms that are cheaper and more efficient to use.
So what solution exactly, what IT solution are you presenting?
Yes.
Madam, the IT solution is like this. We are trying
Pardon. The
Yes, please.
solution we are suggesting is finding a suitable solution by developing a robust system that can integrate online education on both desktop computers and mobile devices, the phones.
Okay, so your intention is to implement an e-learning solution, yeah?
An e-learning solution that is capable of taking on desktop computers and mobile devices.
Okay. So now, everyone from this, what literature review should they do? Can everyone contribute? What literature review would this group have to do?
The literature review, we would have to look at the applications.
Sorry, the what?
That are in existence and analyze them to see their functionalities and how we can solve those problems and put them
you're
into
breaking
our
up a bit.
e-learning platform that we are suggesting.
Sorry, Dennis, you are breaking up. Your literature review would cover what? Let us start with
Yes.
from your problem, from the problem itself. What literature review would you need to? What areas would you need to discuss in terms of your literature review?
We would look at, according to the problem, we've seen that we are going to integrate, to find a platform that can integrate both desktop computers and mobile devices. So we have to make something that is robust and accessible to all devices.
Now, you're talking about the solution, but I'm talking about the literature review. What areas do you think your literature review needs to focus on?
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please, Stephen.
Our literature review, we want to go ahead and we study the document, giving more details about these existing apps. Or we want to carry out research on that. Where are their weaknesses? Why that many institutions have failed to adopt those let me say platforms, because it is not only one. Though for us here at UMU we are only used to Moodle as the only mode. Oh, sorry, Moodle and sort of, but we have the rest. And carry out research. We look at the documents. We see where can we also add on, which can challenge this, or which can, let me say, which can challenge this existing one, and we can come up with something which will
I also see here
of these other apps or these platforms. That is our literature review.
I also see here Kalinzi is also saying that literature review, I think, would be looking at making e-learning more accessible to institutions of higher learning. So I'm assuming that is one area you'd also be looking at in terms of your literature review. Not so? Now, you have also looked at the video I gave you on the pre-recorded videos on philosophy and then also on research methods. Which method do you think you would use? Which research method would be appropriate considering that you want to design and implement an e-learning platform that can be accessed both on desktop, both on a computer and on a mobile phone?
Your network is poor, madam.
Okay, let me repeat the question. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
But you're breaking. We can hear you, but you're breaking.
Yes.
Okay. Let me rephrase. Let me ask this bit by bit. Did you view the video on research strategies or methods on Moodle?
Yes.
Now, considering your research problem, which is you're designing and implementing, or rather your research objective, which is designing and implementing an e-learning solution that can be accessed on computer and on phone. Yes, is that not so?
Yes, madam.
So which method or methods would be appropriate for you to help you achieve that objective?
What will help us achieve that objective, madam? First of all, we have to go and study more about these existing platforms or systems. Then after studying, we want to see their weaknesses. Then we shall use that particular weaknesses. Then we also implement the one which may even be better than the Moodle which we are using. Are you saying? Because they can all that perfect mobile app. So let's say we're trying to use the
Let me rephrase the question. What research methods did I talk about in that pre-recorded video? What research methods exist in the study of research methods or research methodology? What research methods do I talk about in that video?
you talk about many, and one of them, which for us we want to use quantitative. That's why we indicated there that our number, let me say Kampala Uganda, like it's some we are basing on quantitative side of it.
Quantitative. Okay, I think we need to have a separate time where we discuss this because it may not be, either the video was not clear. Can others give us an insight? Anyone else who watched that video, those recordings? Somebody is saying qualitative research and survey. Another is saying descriptive research. If I was to ask you, your objective is to design a solution, not so?
Yes, sir.
Your objective is to design a solution. Okay. Which method, in that anyone else can answer, which method is specifically targets design of artifacts? and an e-learning solution is an artifact. Which research method did anyone look at those videos? Did anyone look at those pre-recorded videos? Okay, I'm going to give you time. Okay, now someone, Barbara is saying yes. There are specific methods, and I remember I took time on those specific videos to say these are methods that IT and computer science students must be familiar with, because they are the ones that really support objectives, or where you are designing a solution. Those methods, I talked about them. Okay, I think we really need to have a class where we go through some of these major things, because if we don't, you're really going to have a hard time when it's time to do your research. Somebody is saying empirical research. I'm going to say no, that is not the case. I'm going to request, because the last time I did, people were very, very mad that I was asking you to have a class on Matters Day. So I'm going to request kindly that we have at least one lecture, extra lecture, because these are fundamental issues in research that we need to grasp. I'm going to ask you to go back and listen to those recorded videos. Let us have our discussions afterwards. And if need be, we shall go back through some of those methods. Okay. Let's move on to the next topic. So essentially, when we think about a research proposal, it contains quite a bit more content than a concept paper. Quite a bit more content. You need, in your first chapter, you really need to have a more in-depth discussion of what your problem is. It is not enough to say we want to introduce more efficiency. No. You're from literature review, you must make somebody understand, your reader understand what your problem is. Dissertations are not the same as assignments. They're not the same. It's a lot more, I would say 100 times more. You need to be 100 times more thorough. You need to be 100 times more thorough in your understanding of a topic. You need to read, and read, which is something most of us don't like doing. Nobody likes it, including myself. But the reason for doing literature review is for us to understand our problem even more, even better. So we are going to go through each section of a research proposal, starting with our introductory chapter, or chapter 1, which includes the background to the study, statement of the problem, objectives, or the one major object, one general objective, and then specific objectives. I see somebody has left here chat. Analytical research. No, Stephen, let's not guess. Stephen, it's not about guessing. It's a lot more than that. Eh? It is making an informed decision on something. So if you notice, the chapter 1 is more or less the concept paper. That is the chapter 1 that would find all these topics that we had discussed. They are part and parcel of what we discussed in the concept paper. It is a little bit more elaborate. Yes, you gave a background study in your concept paper. It would be a lot more detailed, a little bit more detailed in your proposal. The second chapter would be your literature review. Okay. So in the literature review, now let me first of all go back to chapter 1. This is a key point to note, and please, I hope you're all paying attention. I hope everyone is paying attention. Throughout your dissertation, right from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4 may have some limited because you need to be presenting your results there. But throughout, your supervisor, your readers expect to see citation. So throughout, you are reviewing literature. Throughout your dissertation. I hope I'm making myself clear. Are you listening?
Yes, madam.
Yes. So throughout.
Yes, madam, we are following.
Yeah. So throughout, we expect to see literature review from your chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Chapter 4, it may be minimum, but we expect to see literature review. As you're discussing the background of the study, we expect to see literature review. Why? This problem you're talking about, somebody has written about it. If we're talking about e-learning, we need to see a definition of e-learning. If we're talking about access to e-learning platforms, we need to see literature review about it. If we're talking about students not learning because of ethnicity, there must be literature that somebody has written about it. We don't expect to see your thoughts. The only time anything that any research is done and we don't see a lot of quotations, if there is an extraordinary expert on a topic, which none of us is. Even me, who has a PhD, I cannot write a paper and I don't cite. That is not possible. So we expect to see citation in your background, in the problem statement. The problem statement may not have referencing. Why? Because in your background, you'd have made clear all that needs to be made clear about your problem statement. By the time you make your problem statement, your background of the study would have brought all literature, or rather, all the defense you need to point out that there is a problem. So your problem statement section is simply stating the problem, which all readers must have been clear about in your, all of you, you're really giving wrong research methods, very wrong in the chat room. Just forget about it and go back to the video and then we shall have a discussion. Now, your literature review chapter is then giving us structured topics about your research, structured topics. What do I mean? Normally, we depend on our objectives. Normally, we depend. Now, one, we would start by talking about our problem. So take the example of the group of OPIO. In the literature review chapter, we would need to have a subtopic there. First of all, telling us about the issue of e-learning, the problem of of students not accessing classrooms, and they are going for long periods without studying, and we need. So where is the problem? So we probably need some literature review on current lockdowns, what they are causing to the e-learning, the teaching and learning process. We would expect to see that. Then we would expect to see a chapter on e-learning solutions, because you're saying you're developing your own. So we expect to have a chapter on e-learning solutions, those that are in existence. What is wrong with it? Where are they right? Where are they wrong? That it necessitates. We'd expect to see a chapter on design of systems, literature review on design of systems and what methods are used. What method do you expect to use to design a system? Okay? We expect to see that. Those are basic ones those are basic things we are seeing in literature review. Then your third chapter is on methodology. So methodology is what research method are we using? We have methods for designing systems, then we have research methods. Now, I'm not going to go through this because it looks like you did not listen to that video that I gave you. I want us to have a separate makeup lecture focusing on that because it's a key point. Then your proposal will also have references. Remember, we are doing literature review, and throughout, so we expect to see references, a list of references. Then the proposal has also appendices. So appendices in your proposal would include a time schedule. How long do you expect to do this research? For how long do you expect to do? I remember for most of you in your concept paper said, we expect to do this in 2 weeks. A dissertation takes a lot more than 2 weeks. Especially for undergraduate, it should take months. Remember, you do it for an entire year. For a full year as you're doing other course units. So dissertation takes a very long time. Any questions so far?
Yes, madam.
Yes, Stephen.
Upon what you are talking about time schedules,
Yes, please.
What if I invest in a lot of time, whereby within like 3 weeks, I've already collected the data which I needed. So
when you say collected data, what do you mean?
Like I've already carried out the research I was in need of.
Okay.
Oh, the area where I'm basing.
Okay. Now, according to Stephen's question, I want to ask everyone, what are the processes, what processes do we need to go through to carry out a dissertation? Start with the very first one. What's the very first process? What processes does research take? Come on, everyone. It's not as if we have not done anything with our research. We've done quite a bit with this subject. What was the first thing I asked you to do? What was the first thing I asked you to do? Then it says data collection. Did I ask you to collect data first? I asked you to find the problem. Yes, Viola, thank you. Finding a problem. Each of you went out and found a problem, and you came up with a concept paper. How many of you got it right that first time? Barbara says, formulate research problem. Yes. How many of you got it right with that first concept paper? How many of you? Stephen says me, no. Then he says, right, none. Nobody got it right that first time. Now, you're going to go through even worse when it's you as an individual facing your supervisor. Just identifying the problem alone. I am very sure your supervisor is going to tell you, go back and read. Go back and read. Now, Stephen, are you going to read in 3 weeks? 3 weeks, will you have gone through all the necessary literature just to identify the problem alone? Just identifying the problem. For sure, Ivan says no. Just identifying the problem will not take you 3 weeks. It will not. Coming up with the right research objectives. First of all, the general objective and then the specific objectives. You will go back and forth. You'll go back and forth with your supervisor. The literature review chapter is another hectic one because you're going to read even more than you read when you are identifying the problem. You're going to read even more. Your English will not be right. Your consistency will not be right because you're writing something and you must make logical sense. Your statements must make logical sense. You will take your work to your supervisor and you will come back with red everywhere. Red as they're crossing out everything that you've written. And they will cross it out over and over again. Methodology, you already haven't even identified the methods that are used by IT and computer science students. You don't know them. You have to have a whole chapter telling us about methodology, what it is, describing it, defending why you're using it over all other methods. Designing your tools. There is designing your tools. Before you even go to the field, Stephen, before you even go to the field, you must have your tools ready. If you're using a questionnaire, if you're using an interview schedule, if you're using observation, your observation checklist. And this must also be approved by your supervisor before you go out into the field. When you go into the field, there is somebody refusing to give you the data. There is somebody giving somebody a question and the person refuses to respond. There's making an appointment to have interviews and the respondents are not there. So in other words, it is extremely laborious work. It needs total commitment from you, the researcher. Then there is designing you may have, okay, depending on the method you choose, you may choose to design your system before, implement it, and then evaluate. Or there is going into the field, you determine, or wherever it is, you determine the processes, then design your system. So all of that, then eventually writing the whole report. So all of that, believe me, takes more than a year. So my advice is start now. That would be my advice to you. Start now. Okay? Don't wait for third year. Start now. Right now, most of you are at home. You don't have the distractions that you have when you're at school, when you're at university, meeting up with your friends, going out, and so on and so forth. Most of those distractions have been cut out. My advice is start now, especially with the proposal. So just going through the sections again, for the chapter 1, we covered most of this in our concept paper. Yes, we covered most of this. Literature review, what will you cover? You're basically looking at a critical analysis or evaluation of the different works that are related to your research. So essentially what literature review is, you're going into literature, you're reading about what has been written about your research area. For example, in the Stephen Opio's group, what you would start with is by reading about the teaching and learning process. What teaching and learning involves. You'd have to do quite a bit of extensive research on the teaching and learning processes. After you read about it, you report back in your literature review. You will have to go and do quite a bit of research on the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on teaching and learning in the physical classroom. You would have to give us also what is from literature, not from what you have seen, what is from literature, what it has done to some schools where teaching and learning has halted for a good period of time. Then you come to, you do a critical analysis. Remember, all of these were saying critical analysis and evaluation. You do a critical analysis of systems, current existing systems, e-learning systems. Current e-learning systems. I'll give you an example. Stephen said, you said you want to design a solution which is accessed both on desktop and on mobile phones. Are you all aware that Moodle can be accessed on both platforms? Are you all aware that Moodle can be accessed both on computer and on mobile phones? Any smart mobile phone?
Yes.
Yeah. So the question would be, why are you developing one? Why are you developing one? That would be the major question. Why is that? Google Classroom is also the same thing. It can be accessed both on phone and on a computer. And all of these are freely available. So the question would be, why are you developing one? Where is the gap? So that would be the question. Okay. Now, take note that you'll be using accredited scholars. Yes? Accredited scholars and researchers. As you're doing your literature review, you would be using accredited scholars. Now, I'm just going to ask, first of all, come out of this, I want to ask, just briefly ask you, if I open up, how would you begin by searching? Just direct me. How would you begin by searching? Let's say for Stephen's group, how would you begin by it? How would you begin searching?
You go to Google Scholar.
Type
that Google Scholar.
Yeah, we would use Google Scholar. We wouldn't go to Wikipedia. That would be a no-no. We go to Google Scholar. Maybe we would say effect of COVID-19 pandemic on education sectors, education education sector. Something like that. And here we already see there's a writing 2020, COVID-19 a pandemic impact on Kenyan education sector. Impact of COVID-19 on it. And they're all up to date. There's even one here of 2021. How the COVID-19 pandemic is reshaping. Quite a lot. And all of them are accessible. You can see they're all downloadable. Yeah? All of these are accessible. Yeah? You see that? So these are considered to be accredited. Let's go back here. These are considered to be accredited scholars and researchers that you read and then critically analyze and report back. Okay? Another key point to note, it is mandatory to acknowledge sources of literature. How do we do that? How do we acknowledge sources of literature? How do we acknowledge sources of literature? Ivan says referencing, very good. Referencing and citation. What's the difference between the two? Between referencing and citation?
Let me try, madam.
Yes, please.
With the citation, this is where we quote a statement from the particular person.
Sorry, we do what?
We quote quote the statement spoken or written by a particular person. The exact statement without changing.
Is that citation?
Yes. Citation, it is okay. We do it within the paragraph where from a particular source of someone,
we can actually just
let
do
me say at the end of.
We can just do a quick search here to see what citation is. Just type in what is citation in research. And here we have some result. Citation is a reference to the source of information used in your research. Anytime you directly quote, paraphrase, or summarize the essential elements of someone else's idea in a text, you cite. Do you see that, Stephen, the difference? Anytime you directly quote, paraphrase, or summarize. Within the text, you cite. Somebody is here saying something. Referencing is a formal system of indicating when an author's ideas have been used in an academic writing. That is referencing. Then citation is done within the text. Now, it is not the direct quoting that is citation. It is actually indicating. Let me see if I can just pull up something. I can pull up something from my work. Let me just pull up my thesis here and I just show you an example. So don't worry, this one is a PhD work, so it doesn't have to be as big as this. Now, you notice here, I am citing Vital Wave Consulting 2009. I have cited Wambamungu and Williams. Here I'm citing. Then Michael, I put et al. Because Michael wrote this with a number of people, 2010. This is citation. But you notice it wasn't a direct quote. Yeah. So if these researchers, these I'm quoting two people, two different works here. What I'm quoting an idea or certain ideas they put forward. They were talking about mHealth applications. They were talking about mHealth innovations. Then they were saying that these applications, they didn't say it directly, but they were saying that these applications have been used in healthcare. And they gave examples of mobile phones, smartphones, PDAs, laptops and tablets. So these are two different works. So this is not a direct quote. I'm simply paraphrasing. Yeah, but I cite them. Then in a different situation, let me see if I remember it was something to do with context. Here I was defining what a context is, and I gave a direct quote here. And then here I cite the particular author and I give the page because I'm giving a direct quote. If you're giving a direct quote, you even give the page number. Have you understood that point of citation? Have we understood? Someone, Stephen says yes. So that is citation. Referencing is when we get all those people we have cited within the text, or even we have not cited, but we have used. We put them at the end of our either proposal or the dissertation, where we list all of them. I can also just show you an example of that. So this is a list of all my references, all these that you see, all the references, this starting from here. So where you give a full quote, you give the full name of the people whom you used. For example, this person here, these two authors who looked at enhancing electronic monitoring and observation using e-messaging, Ali and Belur, who looked at the challenge of sustainability and all of that. Sorry, is there a question? Yes, Peter.
Is there a question? Yes, Peter.
Peter, do you have a question? No? Okay. Let me just give you one trick you can use. Yes, Stephen, you have a question.
Madam, my question is,
Yes.
let me say that I'm doing a coursework.
Yes.
Is it okay to cite to make a citation throughout my work, or?
Yes.
It is not necessary.
It is necessary. One, maybe your lecturer may not be interested in you citing it, but however, it is a good idea to start the practice because you're going to do it in your dissertation. So it is a very good idea to start it now. Yeah. Maybe the other question you may be asking is, at which point are the words mine, and at another point they are somebody else's words? Stephen, would that be a fair assumption that what you're trying to ask?
Also that one, but what my point of view, you see, like there are some lecturers, they don't want you to copy, like because when we are to see your work, take for example, you have cited the page plus the name of the person. There are some lecturers who do not want you to go and copy, let me say, the same statement and put it there.
Now, Stephen, that's a good question. When is it copying and when is it citation? When is it copying and when is it citation? Let me just give you an example. I'm just going to give a demonstration here. I'm going to open a Word document. Let us say I have a dissertation, either it's a dissertation or an assignment, whatever it is. Let us say, there's a question here. It said, it's copying when there is no reference. Yes. There's also this situation. Let me just pull up this particular article. Let me just pull up this particular article. I'm going to download it. Let me put this under research methods, IT. I'm just going to put it there. Okay. So let us say I'm in Stephen's group and I'm writing something. Then I get something like this. Maybe I come to a point where I say institution closures affect not only learners, instructors, households. This statement here. Institutional closures affect not only learners, households, but have intensive social, and I even put institutional sensations in reaction to this broad, blah, 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 blah. I decide to get all of this. Sorry, let me just try and get maybe up to here. I copy. I'm doing my assignment, I paste. Okay? Then I even go ahead and reference this person. The truth of the matter is I have copied and pasted the whole statement. Not so. Even if I come up here and reference, let me get the reference of this. This was done by Ngwacho. This is 2020. Ngwacho, 2020. First and foremost, unless I was giving a direct quote and I put quotation marks, yes, unless I was doing that, then that is okay. But if I don't even put the quotes, the direct quote means these are my words and these are the words of the author. If I just put that, this is wrong, a direct quotation, without even acknowledging quotes. 2, for you to get these words and copy and paste them in your work without even acknowledging the author, that is called copying. Now, what is key when you're writing? I'll just show you an example from the dissertation, what I wrote myself. Sorry, let me just quickly get to that point here. Now, here I start by writing ICT for the artifacts are used in developing communities with the hope of attaining development goals. For instance, to improve access and delivery of healthcare. Then I say, for instance, telecenters have been used, blah, 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 blah. Now, obviously, many people have written about this topic. Yeah, I'm also voicing my point, but these are my words. I didn't copy and paste them from another article. These are my words talking about the general feeling about ICT for D artifacts being used to bring about development. Okay? Then I also reference people. For instance, I reference this person who talked about telecenters. But these are not words. These words are mine. These people did not write these things word for word. These are my words. I paraphrase them, and then I also bring about the idea of using ICT for the artifacts. Then I reference somebody who has the same thinking and feeling as what me as a researcher, what I feel. So in other words, if you, whatever topic it is you're talking about, bring forward your thoughts, but bring others who also have the same thinking as you cite them. Have we got that point clear so far? Stephen, have you understood that point? Okay, that is good. Avoid the habit of copying and pasting from others, unless you're going to give a direct quote. Why? One of the things your supervisor does is randomly will select a paragraph and put it in Google. Randomly, that's what they will do. And once they do that, and they find that you've copied and pasted the whole text from another article, automatically you're considered to be, that's considered plagiarism, automatically. Okay? So avoid all of that at whatever cost. Avoid that kind. Remember, at all times, you are trying to build an argument. Let me see here if I can. Sorry. Okay, let me, sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, this is what I wanted. So at all times, you're using literature. Remember, you're using literature to build your ideas and arguments. What am I saying, Stephen and group and everybody else? What am I saying? Your research is yours. These are your ideas, things you strongly believe as you. So you're bringing forward your ideas and you are placing forward your arguments. You're defending your work, what it is you believe. Okay? Take note of that, everyone. Remember to look at, to remember, a key point to understand also are ethical elements in your research. We shall have a separate discussion on this. Your research will not include animals, for sure it will not, but it will include human subjects. At every point, you must seek permission from a respondent. Most likely, you will come with a written permission from your faculty to allow you to go somewhere and get information. You should not pay anyone, give anyone a fee to give you information. That is considered unethical. Obtaining any kind of information from your respondents, you must have written permission. So this is where we say you must have a written letter from your faculty, take it to the organization, and then the organization or whichever place gives you permission to go ahead and collect data from them. So just some of these things, some of the things we have actually talked about in the demonstrations I was giving you. Literature review includes you studying, understanding, and critiquing the work of others. So let's just give you an example of the Stevens group, which is saying that there are systems out there. There are e-learning systems, but you're saying you can develop one which is best for the context you're looking at. So what that means is you'll be critiquing somebody else's work. You'll be critiquing maybe Moodle, saying, yeah, Moodle exists, but Moodle lacks in points A, B, C, D, and therefore is not appropriate for the area of maybe our case study area. So it involves you giving some critical analysis of what other works have been there. Citing your sources of literature. We have talked about this. If you do not cite, you're considered to have stolen, or that is what is referred to as plagiarism. Those are some of the ethical elements in research. How do I cite material that I have read? There are various citation methods. I'm not going to go through them. I want you to go and do some research on this. Let me just come to this page. I want you to go and look at the different styles of research, of referencing and citation. Please go back and read about them. Give me at least 5 examples that distinguish between direct quotation and paraphrasing. So look at these ones. Look at Harvard style of referencing, citation and referencing. When we meet again next week, we shall have a brief discussion on this. So what does one look for when they are doing literature review? One, look at your main guiding question or your main objective. Okay, start with that. Your main objective. 2, look at your problem statement. Yeah, look at those. Remember, we said if there are various possible solutions for your selected domain, why don't you simply use them? So this is where you look at what others have done and why are you not using what the others have done. Look at your sub-questions or objectives, your sub-objectives or your specific objectives. That's another good guiding point. Okay? Look at your different specific objectives and write literature based on that, based on those. So here is an example. Somebody wants to develop a sales information system. What are the details or complexities involved in sales information systems? What details are there? If you want to design a sales management system, normally, what functionalities are required? What business processes are imitated? What are the sales information systems that exist? What are their advantages? What are their weaknesses? Why do you want to develop one? Why aren't you using the existing systems? So you see your literature review is being guided by your general objective. So what are the benefits for doing literature review? Number 1, you demonstrate or you bring clarity to your research problem. You for yourself, you will increase your knowledge of your research problem for you yourself. And it helps you refine your statement of the problem. Improving your methodology. When you look at literature, you understand what methodologies exist and which method is best for you to answer your research problem. Okay? You also see how others have done it. What methods and processes have they used? Those who have done similar work to yours. By also becoming more aware of other existing problems, you better position your work or better select your methodology. For example, somebody else's work might have used one method and for you're saying, let me use this one to see if I get different results. Literature review helps you to broaden your knowledge of your research. The key point you need to understand, again, I want to say, as undergraduate students, you're mostly used to being given an assignment, you want to complete it and get an immediate result, get a mark out of it. Research is not the same. Although it is going to be marked, research is not necessarily the same. It is you bringing, first of all, you yourself, you're becoming more knowledgeable about the area you want to research. You're becoming more knowledgeable about things like research itself, research methods, and so on and so forth. So it is a key point that you understand that you're building your knowledge base. Don't simply look at, this is something I need to do simply to fulfill my degree and get a certain mark. Don't think about it in that way. If you do, you're going to have a really frustrating time with your supervisor. Literature review prevents us from duplicating work. Yeah, because we're looking at what others have done. So I thank you for listening. That was briefly about proposals. Key points that I wanted you to note. Some key points that I want you to note. From our discussion, from the questions I've asked, it looks like you haven't taken time to listen to the pre-recorded videos that I uploaded. Please go back to them. May I suggest a time when we can you suggest a time when we can meet before our lecture of Thursday? How about tomorrow at 2 p.m.? That would be fine with me. Is that okay with everybody?
Tomorrow at p.
At somebody else is saying what, sorry?
Oh, I think we have
tomorrow at 2 p.m. is fine, eh? Okay, so I'm going to send that on the group, on our WhatsApp group.
I think tomorrow at 2
at 2 p.m. Sorry, Morgan, you're not very clear. You're breaking off a bit. Hello, Morgan.
Madam, we have a class tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Okay, you have a class tomorrow at 2 p.m. Another time.
Madam, Saturday would.
Saturday. Saturday, what time?
Around 11 there, I think.
Is Saturday okay with everyone?
Or 10.
Is Saturday okay with everybody? Saturday at 11 a.m. Saturday 11 a.m. Is that okay? Okay, let me post that then on the group. Saturday 11 a.m. Okay, I'm going to post that on the group and inform everyone that we have a makeup class for Saturday 11 a.m. Okay, so we shall meet on Saturday. I'll give you time any extra time you need to go back and go through that lecture, the pre-recorded lecture, and I will add on from that on Saturday. Okay? Okay, then please note, which I will also
and
put
also
up. Yes, please.
Pardon, Madam, pardon.
Madam, may you
The day we are meeting, because me, I was on and off.
So we are meeting on Saturday at 11 a.m. So that will be Saturday, the 12th.
excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
May you give us time also for uploading up to adjustment on our concept
Let me see. Let's have a look
according
at
to
what
what
I
also
have
we have
put.
learned today.
Hold on a second. Let me see what I have put up. Let me see the time. When is it due? Let me just see. Give me a minute. You've been given until 12.
It's like Saturday. It's due to Saturday.
It's on Saturday. So I think that's ample time, Stephen.
2 days.
Yes.
Okay, madam.
I'm also going to put up a quiz for you. This will be taken as our second assignment. I'm going to consult with the department on what kind of exam to give you. So I'm going to consult. I'll let you know on Thursday. Okay?
Okay, madam.
Okay.
Another question, a quiz will be for how many hours? How many minutes?
The quiz, it should be about 30 minutes.
Okay. When is that?
I will let you know as soon as I'm done. I'm still working on the questions.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Okay, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for today.
You're welcome.